Update. My mother, 52, female, cheated and left me, 27, male, and our family to work in the adult industry, but now wants to come back and be my mom again. Original story. To give some context, my dad, 67, male, used to travel a lot to work and stay weeks away, so he and my mother had an arrangement where they had an open marriage. Don't know the details, but she was the only one that slept with other people. This happened to most of my childhood, as I can remember her leaving at night to go to clubs and parties, sometimes taking days to come back and neglecting me and my brother. I learned how to get groceries and cook when I was 8, so me and my brother would not starve. When I was around 13, my parents started fighting. Since apparently she had broken the deal in some way, my dad found out about the neglect and she started going into the adult industry. They separated, and for years I had no contact with my mother. I sent her texts and emails, some that even popped up as she had seen it, but she never replied. So one day I just gave up trying to contact her. I managed to stay in contact with some people from her side of the family, but a lot of them began hating on us, saying that we were too harsh on her, that we never supported her, that she did well leaving us, and gradually I also cut contact with them as well. She started working in the adult industry and got pretty famous in my country, got a lot of money, and I stopped using any adult websites as she was on the top pages of all of them. I gladly suffered zero to no bullying in high school because of it, as there were no ways of connecting her to me, and most of my friends that knew my mother didn't know it was her. She had dyed her hair, done a few surgeries and stuff. Well, I moved on with my life, joined the army, and I'm pretty well now. However, a year ago, out of nowhere she found me in social media and began to message me, asking how I was, commenting on how much I had grown up and trying to do some small talk. I just replied with one-word answers and even stopped replying once my nerve got the best of me. Apparently, she has retired, and after feeling an overwhelming remorse throughout her entire life, decided to contact us again. My brother was also careful, but essentially accepted her back. He was always close to her. My father is cordial with her, but only that. She has also asked her entire part of the family for help, as I began being bombarded with messages and calls from both those that criticized and supported me and my dad. I made it clear that I do not want anything to do with her, but they just keep on it, saying that she is remorseful, that she made a mistake but wants to make it right, that she has come back for us, etc. More recently, she somehow found out where I live, and I've been receiving random gifts at my doorstep with messages that were clearly hers. Things like a basket of chocolate that I liked when I was little, expensive clothes. She got my size wrong on all of them. Flowers when my cat passed away, and even a very expensive hiking kit. I messaged her a few times to say that I don't want any of that, but she just pretends she doesn't know what I'm talking about, or just says she thought of me at that moment. I made it clear time and time again that I don't want anything to do with her, but she still persists, saying that she can be my mom again now and stuff like that. I don't know what else to say, so any advice is more than welcome. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I'm sorry, Opie. I'm sure it was difficult growing up without her and knowing what she was doing. She's probably remorseful now because she's growing older and she doesn't have any meaningful relationships in her life. She has her extended family, but not one of her own, and that's 100% her fault. She can be as remorseful as she wants, but too bad, so sad. It wasn't your decision to lock you out of her life. It was hers. Similarly, it's now your decision whether you want to let her back into your life, not hers. The tables have flipped. Some suggestions if you decide don't want a relationship with her. She will continue to love bomb you to try to get you to respond. Moving forward, I would ignore any communication from her. Don't contact her when gifts arrive. Keep them, give them away, etc. Just don't acknowledge them. And when she says she can be your mom again now, tell her that ship has sailed. You're no longer a child, and do not need or want one that abandoned you. Be blunt and cold. After that, do not respond to any communication. Block her on all social media platforms and set your profile to private. Indicate to your brother that you want to be no contact with her. If she shows up to a gathering, you're free to leave. If she persists enough, take legal action to force her to stop. If she shows up at your house, feel free to not answer the door. You've made it clear you don't want to see her. I wish you the best, Opie. In addition to this advice, if you have any of the family that has been harassing you for her on your social media, make sure to remove/block them and be careful how much detail about your life that you provide to anyone that might be in contact with her. That will be harder if it's your dad or brother sharing information with her. And to expand on the no contact ever point, They're saying never respond for a very specific reason. When people are trying to get you to talk to them again and you respond for any reason, all that teaches the other person is what it takes to get you to respond. My social media is pretty much memes and cute animal pictures. But yeah, I had to ditch my Facebook and do another one because of some people on her family. I don't know if my brother is sharing information, but I'm sure my dad is not. Thanks for the tip. No matter their insistence, I'm not responding. You are under no obligation to allow her back into your life. Block her again, and her family, and dump all of the gifts she gives you. Stop entertaining her attention. If she still will not stop, I'd honestly recommend going to the legal route. Get a cease and desist letter sent out to her and her family. And if that doesn't stop it, go to the police to get her harassment on file so it'll be easier to file a police report/restraining order in the future. I have donated or sent back all of the gifts already. Unfortunately, cease and desist letters are not a thing in my country, but I'm really thinking about filing a police report for harassment. Just don't know if they will accept since she never did it personally. I hate stuffs like this. Parents who legit abandon their child for years, and just because they suddenly feel guilty, aka they have nothing better to do, they expect their now grown children to just pick up where they left off? Really? The audacity and freaking entitlement. I'm so sorry you're in this horrible predicament. You don't owe this woman a damn thing. Not a damn thing. She feels overwhelming remorse? Oh, boo-hoo. She made her bed, and now she needs to permanently lay in it. Those other family members who are hounding you can pound sand and buzz off. Block them. Where the hell were they when she abandoned you? For all those gifts she's hurling at you, don't acknowledge them. Don't return to sender either. She's wanting a reaction, any and all reaction from you. She's desperate for your attention, and she will take it, good or bad. Don't feed into that black hole. Toss them into the trash and forget about it. Don't text her back, just ignore her. Block her everywhere and change her phone number. Expect this to escalate. If she doesn't get it, is persistent, and she realizes she's not getting anything back from you, she may just show up at your doorstep. If that happens, don't open the door and call the cops for trespassing. Cease and desist. You've made a good life for yourself. Don't let her back into your life. Good luck, Opie. Plus, all the do-gooder a-holes were enabling her because family. Someone you know told her your address. They could be acting as a spy. And now for the update. First, I would like to thank everyone that commented giving me some comfort, advice, or letting me unwind on their DMs. You all helped me a lot. I'm still trying to answer all of the comments and messages, but with work and family craziness reaching new heights, that might take some time. But know that your words are very appreciated, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Well, to start the update, I decided to take the moral high ground and have a more polite approach. I know many of you wanted me to just send her to hell on a message or letter, but I thought this way would disarm much of her comebacks and maybe even make some of her family members shut up. I called her and asked me to meet me in a small cafe. No way I was meeting her in private. She got there and it looked like she had won the lottery. She had a smile from ear to ear and was almost jumping up and down, but her smile did fade when she saw my face. She sat down and tried to do some small talk, but I cut her off and began to rain on her parade. With all of the calm and patience I could gather, I told her that no matter what she does or says, there would be no way for her to be my mom again. I started to explain that she was a complete stranger to me now, that I still had resentments, reminded her that I tried many times to stay in contact with her but she refused, and even stated that I'm no longer a child. I'm almost 30, so I kind of don't need a mom anymore. Had to hold myself not to say something like, "A few years too late, huh?" I didn't even finish speaking when she burst into tears and began rambling about how sorry she was. That she was sorry for not seeing me grow up, sorry for ignoring me, that she would do anything for a second chance. She even told me that if her old work bothers me, she could have it all taken down and pay for therapy if I wanted. Apparently she didn't know I'm in therapy ever since I was a teenager. I politely refused, and since the conversation wasn't likely to progress, I just left after asking her once more to not contact me again. A couple of hours later, I was in the shower when my phone began exploding with calls and messages. She apparently once again told her family, and once again they were cursing or trying to convince me. That showed me that some of the more radical comments on my last post were somewhat right, and I decided to follow some of their advice. I swapped my phone number, Also got a much better phone plan. Cleaned my social media of any family members from her side, and told my lawyer to go forward with a restraining order. Thanks to the last post, I had it ready to go. Thanks again, everyone. She received the order a couple of days ago, and immediately broke it by driving straight to my house to scream why I was doing that. I didn't come out and call the cops. Thankfully, they saw the restraining order and took her to the station for questioning. I was afraid they would ignore it or something, but I'm glad I was wrong. I'm now stuck here. Not sure whether what I did was 100% right, but at least I'm having some semblance of peace this last few days. She's still trying to send gifts, but I'm going legal on that too. I'm honestly not sure if there will be any more updates after this, but if it happens, I'll post on my profile due to the subreddit rules. But once again, thanks everyone. Thanks for sharing. Good luck with it all. Your relatives are horrible, man. Sorry you had to go through all that. You did the right thing. How dare she decide to come back into your life when it suited her, and when it was too late? I don't feel sorry for her. She now has to deal with the consequences of the choices she has made, which is on her. The fact that you feel guilty is a sign you are a good person who feel remorse as she forced your hand even further by coming to your house. But that doesn't mean you did the wrong thing. In fact, you have been very logical with your decisions. You should be proud of yourself with how you've dealt with things, Opie. Isn't it interesting how everyone's sorry and will do anything to have you back in their life after they've discarded you and everything meaningful and after they've had their fun? When people show you who they are, believe them. Sorry this happened to you. You did the right thing. Wah, I'm kinda scared to go back in your post history to find your original post. But I'm glad you stood up for yourself and I'm glad the cops are helping. Now for the last story. My female 21 ex-husband, male 33, wanted divorce when I was sick with breast cancer. 2 years later, he's starting to contact me and my dad is supporting him. My ex-husband and I were married for 3 years. Our marriage was fine until I was diagnosed with breast cancer that he helped discover when he told me about the tumor he found in my left breast. First, he was supportive and was one of the first to encourage that I start treatment as soon as possible. Once I began experiencing side effects of my chemo sessions, he started having an attitude and became increasingly distant, both physical and emotional. He got worse with time. He stopped intimacy and no longer even wanted to touch me or cuddle me. He became cold and had a temper. Certainly affected my progress as he kept giving negative energy and caused me to cry constantly though he wasn't aware. He spent most his time on his phone. Even at the hospital, he'd ignore everyone and keep staring at his phone acting like a distant relative. The final straw was when he kept rejecting me, and then saying I can't blame him for our lack of intimacy and closeness because how we looked was a turn off for him. I knew it was over. I was ashamed to vent to anyone because I foolishly blamed myself for what happened to me. I had plans for us to have kids and buy a house, even talked about having vow renewal, but all that changed and my condition... My illness somehow made me realize that he was not who I thought he'd be in every problem we face. We got divorced shortly after I completed my treatment. I got in therapy, but I did not focus on my divorce because even with therapy, this was very raw for me and very hard to open up about, but rather gave all my attention on improving my physical and mental health. I lived with my parents for a while. Recently, my ex-husband started contacting several family members. He had and still has a good relationship with my dad, which recently became problematic to me because my dad kept bringing me messages from my ex-husband, attempting to make contact with me. My ex-husband started coming over to the house to see my dad, but then they both tried to get us to talk, but I didn't feel comfortable with it. He's never dated after our divorce and stayed close to Dad. Dad thinks my ex-husband deserves to be heard by me, and that his intentions weren't to cheat since it didn't after our separation, but clearly was more overwhelmed and incapable of handling my illness. My dad kept pushing me to hear my ex-husband out and have grace for him, but I couldn't give him a straight answer. Just kept stalling, and I don't know why. My mom says I'm still in love with my ex-husband, and I'm just angry with him and suggested therapy for us too, but I'm unsure and feel like this isn't something that can be fixed after what he said and done to me when I was sick and feeling alone, even though we were still married. Now, for the top advice. His vows were in sickness and in health. In sickness, he showed his true colors. Why does this man who broke his vows to you deserve to be heard out? To give him the chance to abandon you again? Yes, this 100%. To piggyback off this, my husband isn't the most romantic, and that kind of sucks. But he is caring and affectionate, and when my health took a turn for the worst this year, and all the things we both lost, he was there holding my hand every step of the way. Yes, it was hard on him too. It is hard on a spouse, but that doesn't justify how cold and callous he was to you. I had open and honest conversations, and the stressful part wasn't maintaining our home and child. It was the fear of losing me and not knowing what to do without me. There's a big difference, and it sounds to me he just didn't want to deal with it. It sounds like Opie has made great strides to better herself, and I would hate to see all that hard work go to waste. It's not your family's decision, it's yours. Nope. Imagine if you end up sick again. Will he leave you like the first time? Yes, he will. You need to find some way of explaining to both your parents exactly how horrible your ex treated you in your most vulnerable state. Be firm and tell them to stop interfering in your life, or you'll stop visiting them and stop talking to them. Seems like they still treat you like they're a little girl who needs guidance because you don't know your own mind. Time to correct them. Her parents are pretty damn crappy, and they shouldn't need to have this explained. A child could understand this. But yeah, you're right. He showed you exactly who he was. This wasn't a young kid. He was a grown man who started treating a sick wife like crap. Life isn't sunshine and roses. You may get sick again, and he's shown you how he will act if you do. He is not capable or interested in being there when things are rough. That's all you need to know.